we're going to talk about a cool event coming up. And Josh, go ahead and introduce our next guest.
Well, we have Hegarty and Darian LeBlanc.
Hello.
Thank you guys for coming on.
Of course, thank you for
you.
having us.
And we're going to be talking about the Send It night jump, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So earlier, I know you guys were in studio, and I said the barefooters are, and I said affectionately, crazy. I would put this event in the same category. Because, in a good way.
Yeah.
Because we saw some footage there for those that are watching at home, some jump footage there. So it's what you just saw, but it's done at night.
Correct.
So tell us what the Send It night jump is.
Yeah, so it's just that. It's a competition at night. It involves a lot more moving parts than a competition that would be during the day. It's cool for all the athletes to kind of be in a different environment that they're not necessarily comfortable with. So we do bring in some lights to the shoreline that help light up the ramp itself and the landing zone. And that's, gives the athletes an opportunity to see the ramp as they're coming in. It's difficult to see the landing a bit still. Provides a bit of a disadvantage there. But other than that, yeah, it's a really cool event.
Kind of just hold on and pray at that point. Just
Yeah.
See where you land.
Yeah.
There might be a little training in there.
Well, that comes in later in the show when he talks about his school.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
and you talk about, so how did this start? Because, and maybe we should start with what jumping is. How high is the ramp? What speed are they going? Just to give folks at home a sense of how things are going. So, Darian, give us some of those stats, if you will, and then then you put it in the dark.
Yes, correct. So the ramp we have set for this event at 5'9", which is traditionally a little bit higher than at a normal tournament, which is around 5.5 feet. In a Send It competition, our goal is for more distance.
Okay.
So in order to pitch the jump a little higher, you're going to give those athletes more opportunity to go a farther distance. You're traditionally going about, 32 to 34 miles an hour for a lot of the tricks being performed today. They're all inverted. They're going backwards, they're going forward. Some people have attempted double flips. Hasn't been made since Zane Schwank back in the 90s, and it's still trying to be recreated for the second time today. So this event has made athletes want to go farther, but then again, like we said, adding at night, which makes it way more difficult. You know, the landing, there's a bit of a glare when you have the lights on it than your traditional just ripple in the water, and when you're seeing everything as you're inverting. Here, it's kind of muscle memory at that point. You hope that you have so much repetition and skill that when you're in the dark, you let that take over.
So how did the night jump come to be? Is there a competitive advantage, for people that fish? The water seems to be smoother at night. Does that kind of come into play? Is it just because it's crazy, let's do it at night?
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
So the first night jump was held in 2019. Shauna Passon is the one who really organized it all, which is a really cool opportunity for all of us jumpers who had never jumped at night, which is almost all of us, just because night jumps are so rare, so many moving parts. But yeah, jumping at night, a lot of disadvantages, unfortunately for the athletes, just with in my opinion, specifically spotting the landing with all the athletes getting inverted, whether it's a front flip or a back flip. During the day, you can maybe spot the far shoreline or spot the ripples on the water of exactly where you're going to land. And at night, it's kind of just everything really looks like the same glare. You're like, am I 10 feet off the water? Am I 5 feet off the water? Am I 2 feet off the water? So a lot of times it does sneak up on you, and you're not quite ready for that landing. So.
But it's fun because, like you said, that these athletes are crazy. It's an adrenaline rush. Being at night is another adrenaline rush, and that's what these athletes love. They push for that adrenaline.
Well, and I think trust, obviously, is key here. You trust yourself, you trust your training. You talk about muscle memory and things like that. Going back to it. Two things. One, this is the reason if you don't know out there that are watching what a COI is, it's called a certificate of insurance. That's why it's important for events like this to make sure everybody has waivers and COIs.
Yeah.
But all joking aside, are there more spills at this particular event than you would see in a normal jump competition, or are they worse?
I would say maybe slightly more.
Okay.
But not like an outstanding amount where you're like, oh man, we really got to dial this back.
We probably shouldn't do this anymore.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's just like, a couple falls here or there that might not normally happen.
Sure.
But yeah, I wouldn't say any real bad injuries have happened over the last 5 years of doing this competition.
Knock on wood, we haven't had
Sure.
really any injuries at this event. We do we're very careful of choosing the competitors for this event. You know, we have references, we look at their experience, the past competitions that they've skied in, and how much time they have on the water, because it is a higher risk to be at night. So we are careful about the athletes we do have, and we want the most experienced athletes out there.
What I hear is this: there's not a beginners category in this particular event.
Correct.
You're looking for seasoned veterans. Well, I know you guys do have a ski school, and talk a little bit about that, because again, being the water ski capital of the world, the only way you continue that is that you have the next generations. And certainly there's a number of opportunities that you can do in Polk County, but depending on which of those 9 disciplines there are in the sport, it depends on, or that dictates how many people you need with you to train. So talk a little bit about that part of the training.
I started this ski school this past year. Myself, water skiing growing up, there's a lot of tricks that I learned kind of with no coaching or no instruction, and it's kind of, well, watch this really old YouTube video of a guy doing it, try to see what he does, and copy it as best as you can, and you generally take a lot of spills, you know, some falls that hurt quite a bit, but once you get through it, then it's like, okay, now I know how to do this.
Right.
So with having the ski school, I want to be able to coach these future athletes of you know, not having to take those really bad falls. And generally, you know, just as a coach, I can see bad habits that jumpers have pretty much right away. So being able to fix those sooner than later and get them moving in the right direction.
So you guys recently incorporated a women's division. Have you seen an uptick at the school and in the event itself in women's participation?
Absolutely. The era of women's sports right now in general, but also in water skiing, is pushing the limits right now. The girls that are performing these tricks and competing in freestyle jump today are performing the same trips that the top 10 in the nation guys are performing. So you have girls on single ski inverting forward and backwards, and we're going to have a couple of those girls at this competition, and it's been really incredible to see, because they honestly are the all-around athletes of our sport right now. They're not only doing the traditional girl side of things in the sport, but they're also going for what the guys are doing too, and it's really cool to see.
I think that's an important point, because if I remember this correctly, and I'm getting older, so I don't exactly remember everything correctly, but this past Olympics was the first time that the participants were 50-50, male and female. It hadn't happened or occurred before in the Olympics, because there was just more in the men's divisions than there were in the female. So talk about that, because I mentioned a minute ago about growing the sport, and you talked about the ski school, but talk about some of those grassroots efforts that are occurring to ensure that not only do we remain the water ski capital of the world, but the sport remains vibrant.
Yeah.
I think having these grassroots events, you know, it gives more repetition on the water and repetition in time competing, and you need that. Just like practicing a skill, you need to practice competing. You know, it takes strategy, it takes adapting to new sites and performing under pressure, and having these events really gives more opportunity for that. But I think it also, putting it on social media and taking videos and all this stuff, is what's pushing the sport so much, is because you're having so much more access to see it and be involved and make it more intimate and personable. And that's why I think women's sport has also grown too, because you have people on social media pushing, like, look, we can do it too, and all that stuff. And these events give that opportunity to all athletes to have more time.
You know, something that I think gets everybody excited, especially, you know, when patriotism is involved. Your guys' event's the last tournament before everybody heads off to the Worlds to represent the nation. Are there any, or is there any talent that's going to be at this tournament that you can expect to see representing our country?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the competitors in the competition are on the Worlds team. I think 3 or 4 different competitors. So we'll have, you know, the best of the best really in the nation that will be there jumping for the night jump.
That's awesome.
Is there a website people can go to get more information
Yeah.
about this event? Is there a fee to come to the event? Is there, what if they show up to this event?
So to spectators, it's free to come and watch. We'll have a food truck there, and you know, all the lights will be on. So
What was the date again?
November 8th
November 8th, okay.
at Champions Lake in Auburndale, Florida.
And how much would it cost for me to enter Josh into this event and then send PGTV out there to film
I don't think.
Priceless.
Yeah.
I don't think
They'd be free
their.
for a job.
I don't think their boats go fast enough to get me out of the water.
But you can go to hegartysjump.com. That's you can get more information on the ski school and then also on the event itself.
All right. Well, Pete and Darian, thank you so much. Good luck with this event. Also, good luck with the ski school because, as we've said multiple times during the segment, it is the foundation of the future in the sport, and we want to keep those events coming to Polk County.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.